Thanks everyone for tuning into the interview.
Yo, how good was that?
That was fantastic.
That was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Toby.
We should have more
Toby's
of
so
those.
We've been pretty solid. We did like 4 interviews in the last month or so.
Remember how our plan last year was to have him like 3 or 4 times. That was our plan. We were supposed to talk to him. So we talked to him last year before or after practice, and then we were supposed to talk to him again after Bahrain, but then a bunch of shit happened. Anyway, whatever. Episode 57 still goes on, and we will have him later on. Honestly, like we will do our best. Honestly, viewers, great insight from Toby. That was amazing.
Yeah,
he always has the inside scoop. But
that was great.
He hangs out with like this. Make no mistake, this guy you saw
He was just talking about hanging out with Nui, with all the engineers.
That's what the German press does. They don't bother with this tabloid shit like following Lewis Hamilton around. They
what
go
color
to
is
the
Lewis's hair this weekend? Yeah. Did he color his hair? Does he have earrings on again? Does he wear those earrings in the car?
I think
does he take off that necklace when he drives?
That must add an extra ballast.
I think from one of the questions that we got from one of the viewers about what he enjoys most about the sport, and because of his background being German and sort of the German perspective on a lot of things is like, how does something work?
Yeah,
and that's what I really enjoy about it. But and that's his perspective, and that's a very sincere form of journalism where it's like I just want to know the truth and understand how it works.
Yeah,
and that just breeds great journalism.
Oh yeah,
and that's just fantastic.
Yeah. The stories that are just put out there just to fill a page, like everybody can see
TMZ.
No, but honestly, I think that we are at a point right now where like most people that, for example, are listening to this show have access to the internet, have access to like the wealth of information that is out there. And you can discern. You can even a baby can, man. Honestly, like you can look at a front page and like if it's all like bright letters and like let's show this guy's butt crack, then it's sensationalist.
Yeah.
What Toby's publication and what they focus on is clearly not that. It's like it's actual real stuff, and you can tell.
Yeah, the technical stuff. The deeper politics, not just like the sensationalized, out of context Bernie quotes. And actually, something interesting here that humidly, the guy who asked those 2 questions that we just asked Toby, just said, by the way, his theory for why some of the tech stuff gets less traffic from overseas, from our side, from the West. He says it's tricky to read them if they're written in English, never mind through Google Translate, right?
Yeah,
that's a great point.
They could add a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luckily, I can understand like 30% German or something.
Yeah, I got
so
about 10% on my.
It makes it a bit easier to read some of it. Like sometimes I'll look at it in English usually first, and then the stuff that translates weird, I'll go back in German and be like, see if I can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like the sentence is just structured backwards.
It's like Yoda speak.
Yeah,
that's what German is.
Yeah, German through Google Translate is like Yoda speak. Yeah, for sure.
What's that right there?
Yeah.
Right there.
Buddy.
My girlfriend made this. It's like a little Yoda.
Right hook.
Yeah, a little right hook.
It's a toy Yoda, not a car.
Yeah.
It's a crochet Yoda.
Oh man, I gotta somehow put this over here. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Anyways, yeah, right.
Smiling he is.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Another language that kind of reads like Yoda speak when you translate is Russian.
Okay.
And we're gonna be there this weekend.
Yes.
For a race.
Yeah.
Formula One. Well, not we won't be there.
Well, no, we're not going to be there. Well, Jesus Christ! Like, I think if we're doing our job right, we're probably gonna be banned from. Actually, hang on a second, because there's one thing that I forgot to bring up when I was talking to when we were talking to Toby. But one thing that I forgot to bring up with Toby is that Baku's coming up, right? Like we're talking about Baku, and one of the main stars, or like in their billboards or whatever, like they're promoting this big concert that's going on along with the Formula One race, and one of the stars that they're bringing is Chris Brown, right?
No, that's Azerbaijan.
Or sorry, Baku. That's what I'm saying. Baku.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So in Baku, they're gonna bring Azerbaijan, They're gonna bring Chris Brown, right?
Yeah.
Pharrell as well.
And, no. Well, Pharrell, yes, and
Enrique Iglesias.
and Enrique Iglesias. But what I found interesting is that they are bringing Chris Brown. And remember when we were talking about the Azeri Grand Prix or the European Grand Prix in Azerbaijan in Baku? How to get there, you don't know whether or not you're gonna be actually let in the country until you're there. You have to take a leap of faith, fly to Azerbaijan, and then once you're there, the immigration officials will tell you whether or not you're fit to enter the country or not. Right? Okay. Right.
Wow.
Remember,
Okay.
we talked about a few weeks ago. Azerbaijan is actually setting up through the federal government a special visa specifically for people that are coming to watch the race.
Oh, wow.
A special visa. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so this is a country that basically right now the way things are going. If I say something negative about Azerbaijan right now, like because this is going on the internet and whatever, and like somebody could listen to it, I could be barred from entering the country. Right.
Wow.
Right. No, I could.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very easily like
From any country, really.
Yeah, from any country. Like, or no, not really. Like
if you talk about Erdogan, Justin Trudeau might come through you.
Yeah, we're talking about like countries and with some shady legislation behind it. But anyway, like Baku, Azerbaijan, you don't know whether or not you're gonna get in until you get there, right? And they will let Chris Brown in, which I find weird because a country that you don't need to find out whether or not you're coming to it before you get there, for example, is Canada, right?
Right.
And you know who we in Canada didn't let in? Chris Brown, because he is a convicted felon.
He's a convicted felon because he beat up a woman.
Yeah, he's a convicted felon, and whereas a convicted felon in the criminal system
for a violent crime.
Yeah, for being a shitty person, a shitty human being, is not allowed in Canada. And this country that they're going through such lengths to not like to potentially not let people in, they're just letting that.
No, just come on in, guys.
They're not just letting him in; they invited him and paying him money to sing his shitty songs.
Convicted felon. Don't worry about it. As long as you're not saying anything negative about us.
Never heard a Chris Brown song in my life,
and I'm proud of that too. Eh?
I probably heard one in passing, but
yeah, I can't ascertain whether or not I've been exposed to a Chris Brown song before, but knowingly I've never.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Anyway, that's just something that I wanted to get off my chest.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Now back to Russia.
Yeah,
Baku to Russia.
Oh yeah, let's. We got a onboard.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. I guess,
just
to kick this off.
Put it in the background.
A minute 44 on Hamilton's lap. What? Hamilton 44 tattoo. Here's the onboard coming around. Oh, the telemetry's all cut off.
I do see like
front straight here, the first corner.
What Toby was saying that it does some of it does look like a bit like
flat.
a construction
they
site.
did this giant corner, which is pretty awesome, except it's off camber, which is no fun. You have to slam hard for this corner. That corner's all right. But
it is a bit of an awkward. It was like you said. It was an afterthought. It was they first thought of the Olympics, and then they thought of the race. Joe Sayward on his blog, he's basically linked the building of this track.
Okay, wait, because this part of the track's awesome here. This part's pretty cool. It's like here, this last part. You come up to like a multi-apex. But I think like this track has 19 corners, and I think 8 or 9 of them are 90-degree flat corners, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Here, this part here is pretty sweet. You get that, and then sharp left again.
Oh, that's where I remember when we played this on the video game. I kept going into that barrier over there to the left.
Yeah, this is the only cool part of the track where there's a couple. You change direction, left, right, through a weave. And then you go back through 3 more 90 degrees. 90, 90, and then another 90, and you're back into the main street straight. They're sort of like 90s, like pitched a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty boring, right? It's kind of weird. It's like a subtropical area. They built this crappy track there because they kind of had to. That was the place to do it. They held the Winter Olympics there. It's subtropical.
Right.
All the skiing and mountain events were held like 200 kilometers from Sochi, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. I kind of hope. I hope the rumors are true. They abandon this circuit, let the stadiums collapse, and just race downtown Moscow.
Yeah,
that would be pretty badass. Like Moscow as a city, like when you see it on the ground, it looks badass. Old style, old school.
Are you kidding me? Yeah,
cobblestone,
Moscow
hundreds of year old buildings.
It's one of those cities though that is it's old enough that it basically has to be crossed by a river for it to be that old, right? Like there were no other cities other than cities that would like either on the beach, like by the ocean, or like by a river.
Fat river right down the middle.
Yeah, and so that's Moscow. Yeah. So the track configurations are definitely limited to that geography. So you but you can still probably make a kick-ass race down the streets of Moscow.
It's not going to be any worse. It's not going to be any worse than Sochi. Yeah. Even if whatever 90s they have, they get some elevation.
Think whatever you want of Russia and their foreign policy right now, it would still be a kick-ass race. I think people lose sight of what sport should be when they try to politicize it. One thing that I didn't agree recently, and I agree with a lot of what Joe Sayward says, is that Joe Sayward recently put on an article on Russia and like how he just doesn't agree with the politics of Russia and this and that, and because he doesn't agree with the foreign policy of President Vladimir Putin, he doesn't think that F1 should be involved at all in Russia because of that.
Bernie Ecclestone thinks Vladimir Putin should be running Europe and the world.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of conflict of opinion.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that it is the job of things like culture, like art, poetry, like human expression, music, sport, to rise above all that.
Yeah, man.
And to remind us that at the end of the day, we're all just people.
Right. We're all just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Exactly.
Politicians and the people who are trying to figure out that stuff, what's going on in that sense. Like, you can look at Brazil. They're trying to impeach their president.
They already did.
Yeah.
They impeached her. Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. China has a bad human rights record. Japan spewing out radiation. Fucking, if they go to Africa, they're extincting all these amazing animals. There's a million reasons to not go to any. You can come up with reasons not to go to Canada or the United States or Great Britain, or I
could give you a million reasons. I could tell you right now that like going
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to focus on like the race. It's a race, man. We're going to Russia for a race, man. Russia has a lot of history. They had the Olympic Park. Pull up a map of Moscow just to look at the potential. Because Moscow is a lot like Paris or a lot of European cities where it's built. Yeah, it's built in a circle, and there's not a lot of 90-degree streets there. It's got 2 fat rivers going through it, really. But
zoom into like their downtown,
the red square is at the top of that river loop there, right in the center of the circle.
There's like an island thing here going on. I bet that there's a downtown.
I think that's probably a man-made river split, but maybe not. The red square is right there above the top of that. Edge of that river.
This thing here, there.
Yeah,
that thing.
Right, no, a little higher.
Red square right there.
Yeah.
Oh, red square.
Yeah,
there we go.
But so anyway, Ecclestone's idea was to run right through the red square, but you can see anywhere around here.
Yeah, they're curved
streets. It's gonna
have
elevation, cornered streets, walls, cobblestone, all kinds of badass stuff that you can lay out. The red square.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, and the background here, the buildings, the old minarets, the towers, the parliament buildings.
That's just some weird ghost shit going on there.
sorry, they're not parliament buildings, but
well, it's the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, no, whatever. Why not? I race through there. Why not?
Yeah,
And that would be like, it's like bridging the gap in between video games and reality. Like you often like, Mike. It'll be like closer to Mario Kart. Mario Kart pulled some of this shit off where they like race through castles. Why not race through this crazy cathedral? Like,
I thought like that was sort of like the original point of like going to different countries and different cities. It's because of that.
Yes.
But if every place you go to is just some sort of really static circuit that's never gonna really change, then like, what the fuck is the point? Like, what's the point of doing something like? And I get it.
I agree with that view, man. Because yes, why not? If the whole point, and I know that like you have had some conflicting views of this, if the whole point of Formula One is to keep changing where the goalpost is, if it's a sport that allows itself the change of regulation, the change of location, whatever. Yeah, why not just pick somewhere flexible, somewhere where you can even one year have the race be like this way, and then the other year like add another thing. Reverse it. Yeah, why not? Let's throw these guys out and like actually put them, like throw them in the deep end, because drivers are probably not gonna get much more performance out of themselves, maybe not, at a circuit like Barcelona. They all know it, they know it very well, and it's not going to change. But like the only thing that changes around it is the cars.
Barcelona actually changed in the last 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah,
maybe seven. It's maybe 7. It's been a while.
But once resurfacing here or whatever. But like if you could actually like change like
the last
corners,
corner they changed they added that chicane.
Yeah, but it wasn't the same change though. For example, Singapore allowed themselves to do with the Mickey Mouse corner, right? With the Singapore sling, it was a drastic change, and changing the direction from like one lane of the bridge to the other, that was drastic change. It changed the racing. You can do that
if you look
with
at
street circuits and
Malaysia right now. Their circuit reached 15 years old. They're like, well, it's time to change it for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
They made it a new challenge. They reprofiled a few corners. Yeah. The same principle, but they made the circuit faster and more difficult.
Yeah, and that's something that Formula One can afford itself to do. You know what I mean? And why
maybe
not?
Russia maybe can't afford to do this though.
Well, not that's
what's the unfortunate part.
Like Toby pointed out, the Russian ruble is going down. It's going to cost more. Even if it doesn't cost more, it costs more to them because their money's going down, et cetera, et cetera.
And it looks worse now to abandon the circuit that they built. They spent hundreds of millions on it.
Yeah, but
Russia's abandoned a few things.
Exactly. Like ask any Russian official like do you care if this? Like do you care about this? And they will like whatever X is, do you care about X? Whatever X is, they will say no. Of course not. Do you want me to be honest? No, I'm not gonna care about that. They're not. They will. Like if there's a country, well, there's many, but if there's a Western-ish country that will easily be like, no, we're just not having a race there anymore. Like we don't need to save face to you.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have a race in Moscow. What are you gonna do about it? It's gonna be Russia.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm excited for the race anyway. It's a race.
I'm
not the most excited of any race for this race. I'm excited for the race though.
Yeah.
Especially the way the season's been going so far. We still got to see what Hamilton can do. There's hopefully going to be a real fight with him and Rosberg. Ferrari's got to uncork. They think they're closer than they've gotten to show yet.
Ferrari, okay.
Williams did pretty good at Russia last year, if I remember correct. Bottas got taken out there at the end. He was going to be on the podium, I think, right?
Yeah.
No. What are you looking at?
No. So remember how like I had kind of be like talking about this earlier, but there is something like just now that we're talking about Ferrari unleashing their power and all that. There is something that I have to say because I was the last time we got together, we were talking about HCCI,
yes,
and things like that, and it turns out because so I guess what I said was something like, oh, Mercedes has been trying HCCI and Ferrari has to, like, recently, and this and that. It turns out that specifically, the technology that Ferrari has been playing around with is not strictly HCCI.
Seems like a bit of a combo of HCCI and spark plugs.
At the end of the day, it achieves sort of the same objective as HCCI. So you could have clad your arguments under the HCCI banner. Like if you had said, oh yes, there's gonna be increased pressure in the combustion chamber. You would have assumed, oh, so you're doing HCCI, and an engineer would have been like, make your own conclusions, and the answer would have been true, both ways, because there is increased pressure in the combustion chamber, but it is achieved a different way. It's not HCCI, apparently, at least as it corresponds with Ferrari.
Because the H stands for homogeneous.
Right. Well, that's one of the things. And another thing that we were talking about actually was the getting rid of spark plugs. And actually, spark plugs still play as a role. What I found interesting about this whole thing is that so Ferrari, as an engine manufacturer, they have to manufacture the engine, this and that. But it goes back to like the original problem that we were discussing even last year in the preseason. Is that when we were talking about Haas back then, even last year, is about what defines a manufacturer. What is like, because in this day and age, you're not like as big a company as you proclaim that you are or whatever. You're not building every single part of that engine. You're not building you're not taking, like, you don't have a blacksmith out back in Milton Keynes building each nail, each screw. You don't, right? Like so where do you draw the line, right?
Yeah.
The way that Ferrari is approaching that liberty of, like, yes, they can be the engine manufacturer, whatever, they're actually having help external from this company called Mahle, M-E-H-L-E. This is German.
M-A-H-L-E.
Oh, sorry. M-A-H-L-E. Mahle or Mal or whatever. It's Mike in this show book.
Yep.
It's the first link. Yeah, Mal.
Yeah.
These guys. Just leave it then. Like, leave this picture like in the middle. Okay, yes. Yeah. Can you zoom into it? Oh, or some way. Anyway, close that.
Oh, that's what that is.
Okay, yeah. So Mal or whatever actually went up to Ferrari in the middle of 2015 and was like, you know, Mr. Rivabene, Mr. Marchione, we got a solution for what you guys are looking for. You guys want more horsepower, right? You guys want more horsepower. I can give you more horsepower with very relatively little change to your arrangement that you have right now. And as a consequence of this, like of that conversation, whatever, what materialized was this: the TJI, the turbulent jet ignition. Well, a lot of people, you'd really have to like go out and like look for this, but this actually came out, and we have Ferrari may have their power gains to thank for at the Department of Energy in the U.S. because this was actually this came out as a result of an initiative that the Department of Energy in the States put out to basically make. They basically put out a $2.5 million prize for anybody to come up with a simple solution to extract more horsepower without making too many changes to the standard internal combustion engine.
Oh shit!
If you scroll all the way up, like you'll see, like the headline of this argument is 2.5 million from the DOE.
8.5 million looks like.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
2.5 a year or so.
Spread, yeah. So they basically put this thing out, like tender for anybody worldwide to just be like, yo, just come up with a clever solution of how can we extract more power out of the regular engine that everybody knows and loves. And one of the things that they came up with was this JTI. Now let me go back down to this image here to show like how clever it is and what they're doing. So at the beginning or next week when we're talking about this, we said in general terms basically that what Ferrari had achieved, or what the Formula One teams all had basically achieved, is to put more pressure inside the main combustion chamber so that the combustion would happen almost spontaneously as opposed to triggered by a spark plug.
Right.
So that but then for that to happen, that means that the gas would be way more compressed, and when the combustion actually happened, it would generate way more power per explosion, right? And then it would, because of that, like then the engine, the internal combustion engine would be better at being an engine, because on the other ends, like the MGUH, the MGUK, the engineers were basically being faced with a problem that was like, it was really, really complicated to like get them to go from the 80% efficiency that they were at to like say 85. So a 5% efficiency would be gained more easily, like by still coming to revise the internal combustion engine. So what this did, and this diagram actually kind of explains this very elegantly. So right here, what you have coming down from there, like so right here at the very bottom, is what you would have had before, or where you would have had basically the spark plug. The spark plug head. Yeah, the spark head would have come there. Instead of doing that, now you have this mechanism, which basically is the fuel injector right there with a bit of air and just a little bit of fuel, and this is a spark plug too. So there's fuel and air coming in from here, and there's also fuel and air coming in in the main combustion engine or combustion chamber. But there's also a little bit coming in here, and then there's this little spark plug, makes a little spark, and creates in here basically a first explosion.
Oh, like a little baby one.
Like a little baby explosion.
Right.
And then at the very bottom here, then they have like what they term the JTI, the jet turbulent ignition. They put the T here, the turbulence. So at the very end here, these hot gases that come out of that explosion.
Right.
So imagine right here, like what they're confronted is with like a cylindrical chamber that holds the piston and the gas and fuel, and the air and fuel mixture, right? When the hot air from this combustion comes out, because of the little holes that they put in, it comes out in a swirl like that.
Okay.
That makes like, so this hot air. Sorry. So instead of the high pressure in the main combustion chamber, what ignites the air and fuel mixture is the hot air coming from here that is being swirled around from these little holes.
The turbulence, turbulence helps with efficiency of moving that air back out the exhaust afterwards. If it's spinning.
Yeah, but also because it's spinning, this is really cool, man. No, what happens is that because it's spinning, what happens is that the hot air hits the walls of the combustion chamber first, and then the middle, and the actual spark then in the main combustion chamber happens in the middle, like in the center of it, as opposed to like being like a whole thing kind of scenario, like everything explodes. The explosion actually gets controlled to like the middle of it, and because it's not starting anywhere near the walls, it makes it more reliable,
more efficient and reliable.
Yes,
right. So you're not burning oil on the edges, and you're not burning the actual metal of your piston rings.
This is very, very clever. I clicked that link, the other link that was under the same heading on the book. Yeah. And it shows like a more detailed of like, so where this part would be. And
it seems like Ferrari is adapting this technology, because this technology is, I think, originally developed for diesel engines for trucks, because Obama in the United States.
No, but that's the kicker, because this is not for diesel gas. Yeah, no, it's for regular
Originally, this technology was for, because if you didn't know, right now in the U.S. and because it's in the U.S., the rest of the world, stuff like trucks, big trucks, diesel engines, train engines, big pickup trucks, work vehicles. There's no emission standards for those vehicles right now. They were like, just
fucking do whatever.
Let's make Honda Civics and like small cars seem really good, and everyone will be happy. Don't worry about the rest. But this is moving in that. But I guess they've obviously Ferrari's adapted this for burning gas at 15,000 RPM.
But you know what else is good about this approach? Is that you can implement it with relatively little change to your standard engine right now.
Yeah, they can probably get away with this using less tokens.
They actually last year actually, so it came out from Males or whatever.
I looked at it, the pronunciation is Mali.
Mali.
Yeah, that's what I found online.
Okay. So from Mali, they basically have to disclose all their shit that they did last year recently, and they said
especially because they're trying to win a government contract with this.
Yeah. And they basically said that it was like they called up Ferrari and they said we can implement it in your car and make it like run in a certain level of efficiency and keep working on it as soon as like within the next handful of weeks.
Maybe by Russia?
No. They actually approached Ferrari last year.
I know, but they might get this done for this coming weekend, right? This might be introduced.
No, dude.
Have they been using this?
Yes, this technology in some way, shape, or form, or at least building up to it, has been present in the Ferrari engine since last year's Canadian Grand Prix. That's why we saw the Ferraris up there. We remember, like if you don't remember, like we noticed this. We were like, we weren't expecting the Ferraris to be as strong last year.
Yeah.
Because Canada.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Because Canada, like it's power intensive.
Hungry circuit.
Very, very power intensive.
Yeah.
That's how they got there in Canada, because they and Mali was able to provide them with a solution that was sort of adaptable to the engine that they already had very, very quickly, because this technology allows that. If they've been doing anything since, is perfecting and keeping this going even more efficiently.
I was gonna say it might be, if they didn't, obviously nobody knew that. It would be interesting to see how the sound changed, but I guess it didn't change too much with having sort of a double explosion.
Yeah, because this all happened
so close together, the two explosions,
and these all happened before the turbo, right? So, like
something interesting too. Like I haven't gotten to go as deep as you did, obviously, but the way that this burns gas, because it burns super lean, it creates a lot less nitrous oxide
because of the knock, right? So what happens is that
nitrous oxide, for anyone that does it, like when you're breathing right now, the air you're breathing is like 80-something% nitrogen.
Yeah.
Right.
But nitrous oxide is very bad for the environment, but it gets created when you burn gas together. The nitrogens get stuck together.
So
this makes almost zero nitrous oxide.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So I had a question. Now, is this sort of, so we've seen sort of the Ferraris have like these great takeoffs. Now, is this part of this?
Because that comes to play like very early in the ignition process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it probably gives them a torque boost.
Yeah. From the get go.
Yeah, because they really like.
You're right. That is. Yeah.
And then the Mercedes, because like you just think the Mercedes are just gonna own. But they're more like long distance runners, right? In that sort of sense.
Yeah.
From what I've read about this too, is that this ignition system behaves differently at different engine speeds as well. So when you're accelerating and when you're at the 15,000 RPM mark screaming, the ignition process is different. So probably they have it optimized at the bottom for launches and torque, and at the top they have it optimized for power and burning more air when the turbo's spinning 100,000 RPM.
Right.
And you went 300. I think probably that's the HCCI, that the way I said about being, that means homogeneous charge. You have to reach the same pressure every combustion, because your fuel is engineered to combust at a certain pressure. So that's what the homogeneous charge is. You reach a charge and it ignites. You reach a charge and it ignites. So you have to reach that same compression charge when your engine's at 2,000, 3,000 RPM at the bottom when you're launching, and when it's at 15. But with this, you can change the mixture and the spark intensity and the spark timing.
There's more fine tuning there. Yes. Yeah.
So, well, they're gonna be playing around with this for years, and perfecting it.
The engine mappings, like, it gives a lot more. Like how soon do you do the spark? Because sorry, there is just like give me 1 second to find it. Just so I sure. Okay, so the thing is that it allows for better controlling of the spread of the combustion flame, and it delays the onset of detonation. So if it was just as easy as compressing the fuel as much as it can go until it becomes so hot that it spontaneously combusts, then that actually apparently doesn't deliver you the biggest efficiency.
The best efficiency, right?
The best efficiency. And it's controlled by the knock. The knock is what, I guess, in the people that work in this field, they call it that detonation point. And
that's when you ignite too early. But they actually want the ignition to happen when the piston is still coming up.
Yes.
Because it's going 15,000 times a minute. You want the explosion as the piston's coming up, and then reach its max. The max explosion happens right as the piston is at TD, the top dead center of its turn.
Yes.
And the timing is very critical, and managing that pressure.
But with this system, as opposed to HCCI, what it allows you to do is because you can control how much gas comes in here, et cetera,
gas and air,
and even the way that you drill the little holes, these orifices, the way that you drill them and the way that, like, you make them spew out, with all that together, you can control way more accurately when the knock happens, when the onset of detonation happens.
The knock is what you don't want. Knock is when you
detonate too early. No, knock in general is the detonation, the onset of detonation. You don't want early knock. You want the knock to be as late as possible.
Right.
Yeah. And with this, you can at least model it and control for it more easily than HCCI. And that's maybe what has given Ferrari more of an advantage. Maybe Mercedes, though, and this is one thing that I have
Mercedes is ahead, I think, on the thermal recovery efficiency.
And this is the thing. Mahle used to make. They still make the pistons for Ferrari. They used to make the pistons for Mercedes. They don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
just saying.
They used to, like, as of last year.
So yeah, I don't know. It seems with this system you can control a lot better your everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's good because I think with the HCCI you have to control the piston chamber pressure and temperature and all that with your valves, with your valve timing. You have to have variable valve timing. You have to have their cams. I guess if they're using I'm sure they're using cams. All that pressure has to be controlled with your valve timing, whereas Ferrari can keep it more consistent or use that as just another variable.
Yeah,
because they can control the amount of fuel, the temperature, the timing, the spark intensity.
Like, put it in your engine maps, right? Like change a knob in the steering wheel, and all of a sudden you're having more pressure in this little chamber here before it goes to the big chamber. And how is that going to change your drivability? You know, there is more that you can play around with.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, which is cool. This is very cool. In terms of, if you like efficiency and the technical aspect of F1. I guess.
That's awesome.
This is how Ferrari wants to bring up the fight on top of all the other political shit that they're doing.
Right.
But going back to Russia, actually, like, despite, I mean, not despite, but, you know, as a fan, I'm still looking forward to Russia. I'm still looking forward to see, even if it is the first boring race we've had this year, I'm still looking forward to seeing that, because there is something to be said about a boring race, a race where everything goes according to plan for the winning team, because then you really get to see how much further ahead of the field they actually are. So if everything goes according to plan, as far as Mercedes stands in Sochi, we are really gonna see like how much far ahead of the field they are. I think so.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Unfortunately, not the best track, but like Toby said earlier, and like I've said a million times, and we all said, not every race can be the best race ever,
or has to be even.
Yeah, none of them have to be or should be, because then the awesome races are that much more awesome. Yeah. You can sit back and enjoy them, but that much more. I don't know. I think that's pretty much most of what I got this week. Hopefully on Saturday, this weekend anyway, it's going to be a race weekend coinciding with the 2017 rules deadline signing.
Yeah, hopefully it'll actually stick to that deadline.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a pre-race segment on that from Sky or something, breaking it down. Hopefully they come to an agreement. We can...
As for the track itself or whatever, like, we know it still could be a challenging circuit. Depending on the conditions, it's still a long circuit. It's one of the longest, actually. When it got introduced,
right,
we were looking forward to it being like pretty long. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the longest. It doesn't have the elevation, doesn't have the corners that you're gonna wish to have, except for that one that's off camber maybe. But
even that should be on camber.
Remember, last year it still produced an okay racing.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
Yeah, and maybe the tire strategy is gonna come to play again, where it's going to be interesting to see the cars that are going to want to last longer. And these 90 degrees, remember these 90-degree corners are, if anything, they're just hard on the tires.
Yeah.
They're going to be hard on the tires for everybody, but they're still going to be hard on the tires.
Yeah. And if anything, I complained about them a few minutes ago, but it's one of the only tracks that has 8 or 9 90-degree corners. Yeah. So that's what makes it unique in the end. It makes it its own thing.
And if you're anywhere at all near Toronto, close to Toronto, you can see it with us at Betty's. We're going to be showing the race this weekend, this Sunday at 3 p.m. So at 3 p.m. we're going to have the pre-show. Then 4 p.m. we're going to show the race. Come out. Join us at Betty's.
Half-price nachos, half-price wings. Yeah. They got Bone Shaker on tap.
They have so many beers on tap. They have rotating taps as well. Cask beer. They have cask beer the British way for our British fans. And that's happening
Sunday.
This Sunday at 3 o'clock at Betty's. Look it up on the website. flatofever.com has all the information. Other than that, I guess... you know what? We'll leave us with, I guess, our predictions of the winner of the race. I'm gonna go ahead and be first and take that from you guys, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be another Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, I think Rosberg's gonna do it. He's gonna be super pushing that 7. That 7.
I'm going with the return of Lewis.
All right.
I hope so. Honestly, I do hope so. Yeah. I do hope so. And I'm not betting against or I'm not pushing against him, but. I do think Nico's going to pull it out.
What's podium going to look like?
Ooh, okay. Here.
I'll give it Nico, Vettel, Hamilton.
No, I'm going to give it...
Maybe...
Nico?
Maybe Massa. He's been fucking pushing too.
90-degree corners. Who's good at slow corners, if not the Red Bull? I'm going to say...
Alonso?
I'm going to say Nico, Vettel, Danny Rick.
Danny Rick. Maybe I got my
scared the shit out of me.
I got my Danny Rick-esque haircut this week.
Oh, you sure did.
I'll give him some extra power. side head to side head from above my ears to above his ears. I project the power.
All right, that's
DJ.
Cool.
Click that button and kick us out of here. We'll be back Tuesday after the race, post Russia.
Yes.
7 days, 8 days, 8 days. Today's Monday. Thanks, Toby.
Yeah. Thanks, Toby.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Auf Wiedersehen.